Why is Russia massing troops on the border with Finland? In recent months, satellite imagery and intelligence reports have revealed unusual activity on the Russia-Finland border. New military tents, warehouses for armored vehicles, renovated fighter aircraft hangars and reactivated helicopter bases show that Moscow is boosting its military presence in one of Europe's most strategic regions. But why is Russia amassing troops right here, along the 1,340-kilometer border with Finland, one of NATO's newest members? Finland, with its long border with Russia, has become a focal point of geopolitical tensions in Europe. After Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022, Helsinki abandoned its historic neutrality to join NATO in 2023, followed by Sweden in 2024. This change has turned the Finnish-Russian border into the longest line of contact between NATO and Russia, a fact that Moscow perceives as a direct threat to its security. Satellite imagery, analyzed by sources such as the New York Times and confirmed by NATO officials, shows intense military activity in locations such as Kamenka, Petrozavodsk and Murmansk, all close to the Finnish border. In Kamenka, just 60 kilometers from the border, 130 military tents have been identified capable of accommodating up to 2,000 soldiers. In Petrozavodsk, about 160 kilometers from the border, warehouses for armored vehicles and a new military headquarters are being built. In Murmansk, a helicopter base abandoned for years is back in operation, while in Olenia, in the Arctic, Russian warplanes have been spotted. What are the possible Moscow's strategic reasons? First, reaction to NATO expansion. The main motivation behind the troop build-up is the Russian perception of an encirclement by NATO. The entry of Finland and Sweden into the Atlantic Alliance has extended the NATO-Russia border by more than 1,300 kilometers, a change that the Kremlin considers a provocation. Vladimir Putin has said Helsinki and Stockholm's membership in NATO is meaningless for the security of these countries, but has promised a military response, including the creation of the Leningrad military district, to bolster Russian defenses in the region. According to analysts, Moscow sees Finland as a potential front line in a future conflict with the West. The proximity of the Finnish border to St. Petersburg, about 150 kilometers, and the strategic importance of the Arctic, where Russia seeks to maintain control of sea lanes and natural resources, make this region crucial. Second possible reason is that this is preparation for the post-Ukraine. Many experts believe that the current military build-up is part of a long-term strategy for the post-Ukraine period. Although Russia is still engaged in the Ukrainian conflict, which has required substantial human and material resources, Moscow is already planning for the future. NATO officials and military analysts predict that once the most intense phase of the war in Ukraine is over, Russia will redeploy thousands of troops to the Finnish border. This shift would be motivated by the need to counter the NATO presence in the Arctic and to strengthen defenses against an alliance perceived as hostile. Colonel Andrei Mordvichev, the new head of the Russian army, said that after Ukraine, we will have to talk about Eastern Europe, suggesting that Moscow is already thinking about new fronts. In addition, Russian Defense Minister Andrei Belousov indicated that Russia is preparing for a possible conflict with NATO within the next 10 years, a time horizon that justifies the expansion of military infrastructure on the border. Third possible reason is the hybrid warfare and psychological pressure. In addition to military build-up, Russia has intensified hybrid warfare operations against Finland. In 2023, Helsinki accused Moscow of pushing migrants from the Middle East and Africa towards the Finnish border to destabilize the country. This migration flow, which saw over 1,300 arrivals between autumn 2023 and early 2024, was interpreted as a strategy to create internal tensions and test the response capacity of Finland and the European Union. In addition, cyber attacks and GPS interference attributed to Russia have been reported, which aim to provoke the Scandinavian countries and test their defences. These tactics, combined with military build-up, create a climate of constant pressure with the aim of intimidating Finland and its NATO allies. Fourth possible reason, the last one, is the importance of the Arctic. Another key factor is the strategic importance of the Arctic, where Russia, NATO and China compete for control of natural resources and sea lanes. The Finnish-Russian border lies partly in the Arctic Circle, a region that Moscow considers vital to its status as a great power. The reactivation of military bases such as Murmansk and the increased presence of warplanes in Olenja reflect Russia's desire to strengthen its grip on the Arctic, especially in response to the growing NATO presence in the region. Thank you, and please don't forget to subscribe.